The observation deck of the Galactic Council Station was the most impressive place in all of known space. Tall walls made of shining metal curved around in a perfect circle. Large windows showed the emptiness of space beyond, filled with stars that looked like diamonds scattered on black cloth. Inside this room, beings from 12 different species stood together, watching the approach of 3 human ships. Ambassador Krell stood at the center of the observation deck. His body was tall and thin, made of a blue metal that seemed to catch every light in the room. His 3 eyes faced forward, each one able to see in different directions at the same time. He had served the Galactic Council for 200 years. He had seen wars, treaties, and the rise and fall of many species. Today, he stood with others who found great amusement in what they saw approaching. "Look at them," said Vex, a representative from the Trinothi race. His body was made of clear crystal that caught and bent light in strange ways. "They send their warships to us. How desperate they are. How small." The other council members laughed. The sound filled the observation deck like wind moving through empty holes. They laughed because what they saw was pitiful. 3 human ships were coming toward the station. The largest ship was barely 1/10 the size of the smallest military vessel that the Galactic Council owned. The ships looked old and broken, with marks of repairs across their metal bodies. "Their weapons are primitive," said another voice. This was Thone, from the Keller people. "We studied their technology when they first contacted us. They can barely fire their guns straight." More laughter filled the room. The beings who stood in this observation deck had seen advanced civilizations rise and fall. They had technology that humans would never understand. They had weapons that could destroy entire planets. The human ships were nothing but toys to them. But on the largest human ship, called the Liberty, Captain Alex Morrison did not laugh. He sat in his command chair, a simple metal seat with worn edges. The chair had been used by human captains for over 100 years. Around him, the walls of his command center showed screens filled with information about the ships, the systems, and the space around them. "Status report," Alex said to his crew. Lieutenant Dana Brooks sat at the communication station. Her hands moved over the controls with the skill of someone who had trained for years. She was 30 years old and had traveled through space for half her life. Her brown eyes studied the signals coming from the Galactic Council Station. "All systems green, Captain," Dana said. "The Council Station is hailing us. They are asking for identification and docking procedures." Alex nodded slowly. He had known this moment would come. He had trained his crew for 6 months before they left Earth. He had studied the Galactic Council's language, their customs, and their way of thinking. He knew that they would laugh at him. He expected it. He was prepared for it. "Open a channel," Alex said. His voice was calm and steady, but inside, his heart beat faster. This moment would change everything. If it went wrong, his small colony on the world below would be destroyed. If it went right, his people would have a chance to survive. The screen before Alex lit up with the face of Ambassador Krell. 3 eyes looked out from the screen at Captain Morrison. The ambassador's face showed what looked like a smile, but it was the kind of smile that made clear he thought this was all very funny. "Welcome, Captain Morrison," Krell said. His voice was smooth and oily, like water moving over stones. "We have received your request for protection. We have studied your species with great interest. Your technology is fascinating in its simplicity. Your ships are remarkable in their fragility. Your confidence is remarkable in its misplaced nature." Alex heard the insult in every word, but he did not let his anger show on his face. He had trained himself to keep calm, no matter what happened. "Ambassador Krell," Alex began. His voice came out clear and strong. "We come to request the protection of the Galactic Council. The Zorathi Collective has begun to expand into our region of space. They have taken 3 colony worlds already. Our settlement is only 3 years old. Our defenses are not strong enough to stop them. We need your help." The observation deck on the council station filled with laughter once more. The Zorathi Collective was a minor power, barely noticed by the council. That humans feared them seemed like the funniest thing the council members had heard in years. The Zorathi? Vex's crystal body shook with laughter. "You fear the Zorathi? They are a joke. They have no power, no influence, and no chance of threatening anything important." Alex closed his eyes for a moment. He had expected this too. He had known that the council would dismiss the Zorathi as a minor threat. This was part of his plan. "I understand," Alex said when he opened his eyes again. "But we are a young species. What may seem like a small threat to you is very large to us." Krell waved his appendage in a way that showed he had already lost interest in the conversation. "Very well, Captain Morrison. Your request is accepted. You may establish a listening post near our station. Your vessels will remain under constant observation. We will install a monitoring device on each of your ships. Should any true threat appear, the Galactic Council will protect you eventually. But understand, we have many other matters to attend to. Your problem is not urgent to us." Alex felt the weight of those words. Eventually. That was all the time the Zorathi would need to destroy his colony. But he said nothing about this thought. Instead, he nodded and gave the order to his crew. "Dana, transmit our acceptance codes and begin docking procedures." Alex said dot as the 3 human ships moved toward their assigned position near the Galactic Council station. Alex watched the monitors. The Council was placing monitoring devices on his ships. They were watching him. They did not trust him. They did not see him as a threat. They saw him as a small, primitive creature that needed to be controlled and observed. But Alex was smiling to himself. He was smiling because they had no idea what was really happening. They did not know that his ships had been specially built for this mission. They did not know that his crew had trained for months in secret. They did not know that he had already made contact with someone else. They did not know that the game had already begun. In the darkness of space, far away from the station sensors, another ship waited. It was a Zorathi vessel, and it was watching. The plan was moving forward exactly as Alex had designed it. The Galactic Council thought they had won. They thought they had dismissed the human threat with ease. They had no idea what was coming. Alex. Morrison looked at his reflection in the dark window of his ship. He could see the determination in his own eyes. He was a human captain, and humans did not give up. Humans did not accept being laughed at. Humans found a way to survive, no matter how bad the situation seemed. The real game was about to begin. The space between the stars was empty and black and cold. There was no sound here. No light except from distant stars and the glow of ship engines. This was where humanity and the Zorathi Collective met in secret. This was where the real plan would come to life. Captain Alex Morrison floated in his vacuum suit between 2 ships. The human vessel, the Liberty, was small and weak-looking compared to the Zorathi ship that hung in space before him. The Zorathi vessel was 3 times as large, with weapons that glowed purple and red in the darkness. The weapons looked hungry, like they had tasted blood many times before. A docking bridge extended from the Zorathi ship to meet the Liberty. It was a simple metal tube, dark and unmarked. Alex moved through the space between ships, using the small jets on his suit to guide him. Every second felt heavy. Every breath inside his helmet sounded loud in his ears. He was about to do something that the Galactic Council would call treason. He was about to ally with an enemy. Commander Thax waited inside the docking bridge. His body was different from anything on Earth. He had 6 arms, each one ending in sharp claws that could tear metal. His skin was gray and rough, covered with scales that looked like old stone. His head was large, with a mouth full of teeth that looked like metal spikes. To a human, Thax looked like something from a nightmare. But to Alex, he looked like a partner. "You have made the choice," Thax said. His voice sounded like metal grinding against metal. "You understand what you are asking me to do?" Alex took off his helmet slowly. The air inside the docking bridge was different from what he was used to on Earth, but it would not kill him. His lungs filled with the strange air. He looked directly at Thax, at those eyes that were nothing like human eyes, but held the same intelligence, the same understanding. "Yes," Alex said. "I understand exactly what I am asking." "You asked the Zarathi Collective to attack you," Thax said. "You ask us to assault your ships while they sit under the protection of the Galactic Council. You ask us to make the Council's greatest fear come true. You ask me to do this thing, and you expect to survive." "I expect us both to survive," Alex said. "And I expect the galaxy to change." Thax's mandibles clicked together. It might have been laughter, or it might have been anger. Alex could not tell. He only knew that he had to make the Zarathi commander understand his plan. "The Galactic Council does not fear you," Alex said. He moved closer to Thax, showing no fear. "They have written you down as a mire power. They believe you cannot threaten them. They believe you are weak and not worth their attention. This is their weakness. This is what will destroy them." "Explain," Thax commanded. Alex held up his hands, showing that he carried no weapons. "If the Zarathi attack my ships while they sit under the Council's watch, the Council will be forced to defend us. They will have no choice. But here is the important part, Commander. My ships will not be destroyed. We will survive. We will vanish, and when we are gone, your ships will also leave. The Council will have failed to destroy you. The Council will have learned that they are not all powerful." Thax moved close to Alex. One of his claws reached out and touched the human captain's shoulder. The claw was sharp enough to cut through the metal of the Liberty with ease, but Thax did not use it to hurt. He was simply examining the human, trying to understand what drove him to make such a mad proposal. "You risk the lives of your crew," Thax said. "You risk the safety of your colony. You do this to teach the Council a lesson. Why? Because if the Council continues to believe they are invulnerable, they will grow careless," Alex said. "They will dismiss every threat as insignificant. Eventually, a real threat will come that they cannot stop. An entire civilization will be destroyed because the Council thought they were safe. I want to teach them the truth now, while the lesson is small, before the cost becomes too high." "And if your plan fails?" Thax asked. "Then my people die," Alex said simply. "Then the Zarathi Collective gains nothing, and the Council learns nothing. But I do not believe my plan will fail, Commander. I believe it will work because I have studied your people. I have studied the Council. I know their weaknesses. I know how they think. And I know that you are intelligent enough to see the value in what I am proposing." Thax was silent for a long time. His gray face showed no emotion. His mouth was closed. His claws clicked against the metal floor of the docking bridge. Inside the silence, something was being decided. Something that would affect millions of lives across the galaxy. "Your species is young," Thax finally said. "We have been fighting the Galactic Council for 50 years. We are stronger than we were 50 years ago, but they are still far more powerful than us. They ignore us because we do not matter to them. You offer me a way to make them see us. You offer me a way to prove that we are not insignificant." "Yes," Alex said. "That is exactly what I offer. But you ask me to trust you," Thax said. "You ask me to believe that a human captain can predict how the Galactic Council will react. You ask me to trust a species I have only met in the last few weeks." "Yes," Alex said again. "I ask all of that, But I offer something in return. I offer you respect. I offer you the chance to be seen as strong, not weak. I offer you the chance to change how the galaxy sees the Zorathi Collective. Thax extended one of his claws toward Alex again. But this time, it was a gesture of agreement, not examination. In the Zorathi way, this was how they sealed a bargain. Alex understood this. He had studied their customs. He reached out and clasped a claw with his human hand. "When will you attack?" Alex asked. "When the time is right," Thax said. "When the Council thinks they are safest. When their guards are most relaxed. Then we will strike. Your ships will vanish as you said they would. And the Galactic Council will learn that the universe is more dangerous than they believed." "Thank you, Commander," Alex said. "Do not thank me yet," Thax said. His metal voice was harsh and cold. "You may die before this plan comes to an end. You may die believing your effort was wasted. But I will do this thing human. I will dance this dance with you. And if we survive, if your plan works, then the galaxy will never be the same." Alex smiled. He felt the weight of what he had agreed to, but he also felt the rightness of it. Humanity had been laughed at for too long. It was time to change that dot. It was time to teach the Galactic Council a lesson they would never forget. The alarms on the Liberty screamed. Captain Alex Morrison knew that sound. He had heard it before in drills and training simulations, but this was real. This was the moment everything changed. Red lights flashed through the command center, turning everything the color of blood. "Battle stations!" Alex shouted. His voice cut through the chaos like a knife. "All hands to battle stations." The crew moved like a coordinated dance. Every human had trained for this moment. Every person on the Liberty knew exactly what they had to do. They had practiced it hundreds of times. In the engine room, the chief engineer increased power to the systems that mattered most. At the weapons console, the targeting officer prepared to fire on the ships that had just emerged from jump space. The Zorathi vessels appeared on the screens like sudden violent storms. There were 6 of them, all much larger than the human ships. They moved with purpose, with precision, with the knowledge that victory was already in their grasp. Their weapons came alive immediately, sending waves of plasma and energy bolts toward the 3 human ships. "Shields up," Dana Brooks called from the communications station. A calm voice steadied the crew. "All shields at full power." The Liberty shook violently as the first blast hit her shields. The shields were not strong enough to stop the Zorathi weapons completely. They slowed them down, weakened them, but did not stop them entirely. A secondary blast struck the ship and tore through part of the outer hull. Sparks flew from the ceiling. A monitor screen exploded in a shower of electricity and metal. "Return fire," Alex commanded. He did not hesitate. His part of the plan required that the attack look real, that the Galactic Council believed the human ships were truly fighting for their lives. The Liberty's weapons were weak compared to the Zorathi guns, but they fired anyway. Red energy bolts left the human ship and traveled through space toward the enemy vessels. Most of them did no damage at all. The Zorathi shields absorbed them easily, but some got through. On one of the Zorathi ships, a section of the hull sparked and crackled. The battle lasted only minutes, but it felt like hours to everyone on the Liberty. The other 2 human ships, the Endeavour and the Columbia, fought alongside the Liberty. They were smaller ships than the Liberty, with smaller crews and smaller weapons. But they fought with the same determination in the observation deck of the Galactic Council station. Ambassador Krell watched the battle unfold on the screens. His 3 eyes went wide. This was something he had not expected. The Zorathi were attacking human ships right under the Council's protection. This was a direct challenge to the Council's authority. "Alert the defense grid," Krell commanded. Send battle cruisers to the combat zone immediately. The other council members stood in shock. Vex's crystal body reflected the light from the battle screens, showing scenes of destruction and fire. The Trinathi representative could not believe what he was seeing. The Zorathi have attacked us? Don asked. His voice was uncertain. They have actually attacked in the shadow of our station. But something was wrong with the battle, something that Krell could not quite identify. The human ships were not being destroyed. Their shields held longer than they should have. Their movement patterns were too organized, too perfect, as if they were following a plan rather than desperately trying to survive. On the Liberty, Alex watched the subspace activation sequence run on his screens. The process was complex, requiring exact timing and precise calculations. The human scientists had worked for years to develop this technology, understanding how the Galactic Council ships use subspace to travel faster than light. The humans had found a way to hide inside subspace itself, to exist in a space that the Council sensors could not reach. 20 seconds to jump, the navigation officer called out. His name was Kevin, and he had studied this moment for so long that he could recite every number in his sleep. The Zorathi weapons continued to strike at the Liberty, but now the human captain smiled. The Council would think they were winning. They would think the human ships were running away, trying to escape into normal space at full speed. They had no idea what was about to happen. 10 seconds, Kevin called. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Liberty jumped, but she did not jump into normal space. She jumped into subspace, that strange realm between the stars where normal physics did not apply. To the sensors of the Galactic Council, it looked as if the Liberty simply vanished. One moment she was there, damaged and fighting and desperate. The next moment, she was completely gone. The Endeavor jumped seconds after the Liberty. Then the Columbia. Within the span of 10 seconds, all 3 human ships had vanished from the observation deck screens. The space where they had been moments before now showed nothing but empty void and slowly fading radiation. The Zorathi vessels halted their attack. On the Galactic Council station, the Council members stared at the blank screens, trying to understand what had just happened. Their instruments searched for the human ships, but found nothing. The sensors swept through space, looking for wreckage, for energy signatures, for anything that would tell them where the human vessels had gone. There was nothing. Krell's 3 eyes blinked slowly. He felt something he had not felt in a very long time. He felt confused. He felt uncertain. He felt the creeping touch of fear. Where did they go? He asked, though no one in the observation deck could answer him. The Zorathi ships suddenly turned away from the Council station. They engaged their weapons one last time, not to attack the station, but simply to fire into empty space, as if celebrating a victory. Then they too jumped away, disappearing into the darkness of space as quickly as they had arrived. The battle was over. The human ships were gone. The Zorathi ships were gone. And the Galactic Council was left standing in shocked silence, trying to understand how a species they considered primitive had simply ceased to exist. Send search parties, Krell commanded, but his voice was hollow. Search every region of space. Find those ships. Ambassador, said Vex slowly, the ships are gone. They simply vanished. It is as if they never existed at all. Krell turned away from the observation window. He could not bear to look at the empty space where the human ships had been. All around him, council members whispered to each other, their voices filled with shock and fear and the terrible uncertainty of the unknown. The humans had not been destroyed. They had not surrendered. They had not asked for mercy or protection. They had simply vanished, and in that vanishing, everything the Galactic Council believed about power and protection and their own invulnerability had disappeared along with them. Inside subspace, the rules of physics worked differently. Time moved strangely. Distance became something other than what it meant in normal space. The three human ships floated in this strange realm, invisible to the sensors of the Galactic Council and everyone else who did not have the technology to see them. Captain Alex Morrison stood in the command center of the Liberty and watched the displays that showed the normal universe outside their subspace hiding place. To his crew, he appeared calm and in control, but inside, his heart raced with the intensity of the moment. The first part of his plan had worked. The Council had believed the attack was real. The Council had believed the human ships were destroyed or scattered. Now came the second part. Now came the part where humanity would teach the galaxy a hard lesson. How long can we stay in subspace? Alex asked his chief engineer, a woman named Patricia Wells, who had designed half of the subspace systems herself. The power systems are holding, Patricia reported. Her dark skin shone with sweat from the stress of maintaining the delicate subspace state. We can stay here for approximately 48 hours at full power. After that, we will need to drop back into normal space and recharge, or the systems could fail completely. We will not need 48 hours, Alex said. His voice carried the weight of certainty. We will reposition, make our statement, and disappear again. All of that will take 6 hours, maybe less. The three human ships had not been built for combat. They had not been built to win wars or destroy enemies. They had been built for this specific moment, this specific plan. Every system had been designed to hide in subspace, to emerge briefly, to deliver a message, and then to hide again before the Galactic Council could respond. Navigator, calculate the jump coordinates to the nearest Zorathi military installation, Alex commanded. Already done, Captain, Kevin answered from the navigation station. His hands moved across the controls with the skill of someone who had prepared for this moment his entire career. We have 3 target locations. We can be at the first installation in approximately 2 hours. The humans had studied the Zorathi Collective with the same careful attention they had given to the Galactic Council. They knew where the Zorathi kept their communication centers. They knew where the Collective's war machines waited in secret. They knew everything because knowledge was a weapon just as powerful as any gun or missile launcher. 2 hours later, the Liberty emerged from subspace above a Zorathi military station. The station hung in the darkness of space like a spider in its web, bristling with weapons and defenses. It was built to repel attacks from the Galactic Council. It was built to survive the most powerful weapons the galaxy had to offer. That it was not built to defend itself against something it could not see coming. The human ship's weapons came, alive in the darkness. But these were not weapons designed to destroy. These were weapons designed for precision and control. The Liberty's guns struck at the Zorathi station's communication array, at its broadcast systems, at its ability to send messages across the Collective's territory. Explosions bloomed across the station's surface. Sections that had been dark suddenly lit up with fire and destruction. But the destruction was carefully controlled, carefully aimed. Alex had not wanted to kill the Zorathi who worked on that station. He wanted to blind them, to cut them off from their comrades, to create confusion and fear. The same operation happened at 2 other locations. The Endeavour and the Columbia emerged from subspace near separate Zorathi installations and struck with the same precision. Within minutes, the Zorathi Collective's communication network was broken. The various ships and stations of the Collective could no longer talk to each other. Then, from the Liberty, a message was transmitted across all known frequencies. It was broadcast in the language of the Galactic Council, but it was a message for everyone who could hear it. This is Captain Alex Morrison of the human species, the message began. We have demonstrated to the Galactic Council that their sensors are not perfect. We have demonstrated that a species they consider primitive can hide from them, can attack without warning, and can vanish before they can respond. On the observation deck of the Galactic Council station, Ambassador Krell heard the message. His 3 eyes widened. His body went rigid. The voice continued. The Zorathi Collective, which your council dismissed as insignificant, has coordinated perfectly with our human forces. We have struck at 3 Zorathi installations and achieved our objectives without a single loss. The Galactic Council could not see us. The Galactic Council could not stop us. The Galactic Council could not protect the Zorathi from our attack. Around the observation deck, council members stared at the speakers in disbelief. We are not requesting protection anymore, the message said. We are informing you that humanity is now a power that must be respected. We are telling you that the galaxy is far more dangerous than you believed. We are showing you that no species is safe simply because they are large or old or technologically advanced. The humans are here, and we demand to be treated as equals, not as primitive creatures who need your protection. The broadcast ended. The Liberty jumped back into subspace before the Galactic Council's defense grid could even lock onto her position. The Endeavor and the Columbia did the same from their locations. Within seconds, all 3 ships had vanished again. In the spaces of normal space, chaos erupted. The Galactic Council began sending messages to all the species under their protection. The Zorathi Collective was trying to contact their stations, but the communication lines were broken. Across the galaxy, beings heard the human message and began to talk about it. The primitive humans had done something that no one had thought was possible. They had hidden from the Galactic Council. They had attacked without warning. They had disappeared without a trace. The message spread through the galactic community like fire through dry grass. News feeds carried stories about the mysterious human attack. Scientists debated how it could have been possible. Military strategists tried to understand the tactics that had been used. And Ambassador Krell stood in the observation deck of the Galactic Council station, staring at the empty space where the human ships had vanished, understanding that everything had changed. The Galactic Council had believed itself invulnerable. The Galactic Council had laughed at humanity. Now the Council had to face a terrible truth. They were not invulnerable. Their protection meant nothing. A young species had just taught them that lesson, and they could not do anything about it. In subspace, Captain Alex Morrison monitored the reactions of the galaxy outside. He watched the messages fly between stations and ships. He watched the fear spread through the Galactic Council's organization. He watched the respect for humanity grow moment by moment. The second part of his plan had worked perfectly. Now came the third and final part, the negotiation. The part where humanity would walk into the Galactic Council chamber as an equal, not as a desperate, primitive species begging for protection. The part where humanity would demand the respect that was rightfully theirs. 3 months had passed since the human ships vanished from the Galactic Council sensors. 3 months of uncertainty, of fear, of endless searching that found nothing. The Council had scanned every region of space multiple times. They had sent their best scientists to study how the humans had accomplished their impossible feat. They had tried to understand what they had seen and could not explain. Now, Captain Alex Morrison was coming back to the station, and the atmosphere was completely different from his first visit. Ambassador Krell stood at the observation window once more, but this time there was no laughter in the chamber. The council members stood silent as the human ships approached. The Liberty, the Endeavor, and the Columbia moved through space with careful precision, their signal identification codes broadcasting clearly for all to hear. These ships were not hidden in subspace anymore. They were not trying to conceal themselves. They were approaching openly as equals, no longer as suppliants begging for mercy. The 3 human ships docked at the station. But this time, Captain Morrison did not wait for invitation or instructions. He led his officers directly to the council chamber. 6 humans in formal uniforms walked through the corridors of the Galactic Council station, their boots making clear sounds against the metal floors. When Alex entered the council chamber, the first thing he noticed was that all 12 representatives stood to greet him, not in a gesture of welcome, but in a gesture of respect. They stood because they no longer dared to sit. They stood because the human captain had become someone who demanded to be acknowledged. "Welcome, Captain Morrison," Ambassador Krell said. His 3 eyes blinked slowly, a sign of nervousness among his people. "The Galactic Council is pleased to see that you have returned safely." Alex did not acknowledge the greeting with any emotional response. He simply walked to the center of the chamber and stood there, looking at the representatives of 12 different species, looking at beings who controlled the galaxy and had grown comfortable with their own power. "Ambassador Krell," Alex said, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber, "I come to you today with a demand, not a request." The effect of those words was immediate. A few of the council members shifted uncomfortably. Vex's crystal body reflected nervous light. Thone's expression went hard and rigid. "The Galactic Council has dismissed humanity for too long," Alex continued. "You laughed at our ships. You said our weapons were primitive. You said our species was insignificant. You offered us protection that you had no intention of delivering. You treated us as children who did not understand the ways of the galaxy." Alex paused, letting each word sink into the minds of the council members. "But 3 months ago, you learned something important," Alex said. "You learned that a species you considered primitive could hide from your sensors. You learned that we could attack your allies and leave no trace. You learned that your protection was meaningless. You learned that the galaxy is not as safe as you believed." Krell tried to speak, but Alex raised his hand to silence him. "I am not finished," Alex said. His voice was not angry, but it was firm and absolute. "The Galactic Council stands at a crossroads. You can continue to pretend that you control the galaxy, and you can continue to be surprised and confused when events do not unfold as you expect. Or you can accept the reality that the galaxy is changing. Humanity is changing it. What exactly are you demanding?" Vex asked. His crystal voice was tight with tension. "Full membership in the Galactic Council," Alex said simply. "Not a listening post. Not observation status. Not a junior position where we bow and listen. I demand that humanity receives 1 seat at this table, with the same voting rights and authority as every other species here." The chamber erupted. Council members began shouting at each other in multiple languages and communication styles. Some seemed angry. Some seemed fearful. A few seemed to be calculating what this change would mean for their own power and influence. "You have no authority to make such demands," Thone said loudly. "You are a young species. You have not earned your place among the great powers of the galaxy. Have we not?" Alex asked. The question was posed calmly, but it carried the weight of a threat. "We have proven that we can do what your greatest military strategists said was impossible. We have proven that we can hide from the Council's censors. We have proven that we can strike without warning and vanish without consequence. If that is not qualification enough to join your council, then I think perhaps the Council's standards have become too low." Krell raised his appendages, trying to restore order. When quiet finally returned to the chamber, the ambassador spoke. "Captain Morrison, your request is bold," Krell said. "But the Galactic Council cannot simply grant membership to a species based on threats and demonstrations of power." "I am not threatening you," Alex said. "I am simply explaining the situation. Humanity does not want conflict with the Galactic Council. We want partnership. We want to sit at the table and have our voice heard. We want to be part of the decision-making process that affects the galaxy. That is not a threat." That is a proposal for cooperation. Alex walked closer to the center of the chamber, closer to where Krell stood. The human captain looked directly at the ambassador with eyes that had seen his colony world threatened, his people at risk, and the weight of an entire species' future on his shoulders. 3 months ago, you laughed at us, Alex said. You thought we were insignificant. You thought our ships were toys and our weapons were jokes. You were wrong. And I think, deep down, every member of this council knows that you were wrong. You all felt fear when our message broadcast across the galaxy. You all felt uncertainty when you could not find our ships. You all understood that the universe had become more dangerous. Krell was quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, he extended his appendage toward Captain Morrison. It was the same gesture he had made when dismissing the human captain 3 months before. But this time, the gesture meant something entirely different. The Galactic Council will consider your request, Krell said. We will hold a vote. No, Alex said firmly. You will vote now. You will vote in this moment, while the truth of what humanity has accomplished is still fresh in your minds. You will vote because humanity deserves recognition, and the galaxy deserves to have our species sitting at this table. There was a terrible silence. The council members looked at each other. They looked at the human captain. They looked at the choice that had been laid before them. Then Krell raised his appendage in the gesture of agreement. All in favor of granting full Galactic Council membership to the human species, he said. One by one, the representatives voted. Some voted quickly, as if they wanted to get the moment over with. Some voted slowly, as if they were still not sure they believed what was happening. But every single representative voted yes. Humanity is accepted as a full member of the Galactic Council, Krell announced. His voice was heavy with the weight of historical change. Captain Alex Morrison, you and your species now have equal voice and equal authority in the governance of this galaxy. Alex Morrison looked at the ambassador, and for the first time since entering the chamber, he smiled. Thank you, Ambassador, Alex said. Humanity will not disappoint you. As Alex left the council chamber that day, he thought about the colony world that orbited a distant star. He thought about the families who waited there for news. He thought about the 3-year-old settlement that had risked everything to teach the galaxy a lesson. The Galactic Council had laughed at human ships. Now those ships would come and go as they pleased, carrying representatives of a species that could no longer be dismissed or ignored. The galaxy had changed. Humanity had changed it, and the age of laughter had ended forever.